Welcome to another exciting episode of Kevjet, the podcast. I'm excited to introduce to you this week's guest, dancer, singer, and model, Darcey Simmons. Darcey tells us about her time at Urdang Academy in London.
I went through college during COVID, so like half of my years were taken up by online lessons. I don't even know how we all did that, but yeah, it feels like a fever dream. You have these really high expectations of like what you think it's going to be, but I don't like to look at like anything in life as a letdown, because I do think that no matter what path you're on, no matter where you are, it's happening for a reason. I think if you try to overplan or overthink things too much, it stops you from being in the present moment, and you're just constantly letting go of opportunities that might be coming your way.
She explains to me how she felt when she came back to London after her very first big gig.
I just remember coming back to like my normal job as like a waitress, working long hours on your feet, and it was like, wow, I just did this amazing job and I had so much fun and I got paid for it. And now I'm back working here, not getting paid as much. People are talking to you badly, and you just, but it's all a part of life and growing up and life lessons. You do live in a fantasy land for a while, and then you come back and it's like, okay.
Darcey tells me how she got into theatre and how it found its way into her blood.
I wasn't really wanting to necessarily go into theatre. I always knew I was going to at some point in my life, because I trained in it and I've sung all my life and I've always wanted to do it. And initially I actually thought that I was going to come out of college and go to theatre first, and then maybe in future would have done the cool like commercial jobs and eventually go on tour and stuff like that. But it happened the other way around for me. So I was kind of in my flow with the commercial work and didn't really expect to.
I ask her about her West End debut in the musical Grease.
That was my first West End gig, and it was probably like one of the best summers of my life so far.
Darcey tells me how she's been a performer since the age of 3.
I have been dancing and singing since I was 3. My mum always tells me this story, and I'm just going to say it because it's quite funny. She said I just went up to the table, got on the table and just introduced myself to them, all stood off on the table. And I think from then, I knew, or my family knew, that this was going to be, it was destined for me. And I didn't stop dancing since, but that's showbiz, hey?
And of course, we hit her with some quick-fire questions.
Let's be real here.
Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy my conversation with the delightful Darcey Simmons. Welcome to Kevjet, the podcast, Darcey Simmons.
Thank you. Hello.
You've just come back from Manchester. It was the big night of musicals.
It was. And it was, I performed with Grease, the musical this time, and we finished our contract on around the 28th of October. So it's kind of like a mini reunion. We came back for a rehearsal and then we went up to Manchester and did the performance, and it was really, really amazing.
That's amazing. How many shows performed there?
There was quite a few. There was Hamilton. There was Hadestown, which hasn't even opened yet. So that was like kind of like a sneak peek, which was really cool.
I love Hadestown. I saw it at the National Theatre a couple years ago, just before COVID hit. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really excited to go and watch that. So there was quite a few there. It was called 17,000 people in the arena, which was crazy.
So how does that work backstage with everybody trying to get ready? And
every musical was different, because obviously every production team was different, but we actually was like based at the hotel that was around the corner. So we kind of had it quite nicely, because we could come back to our hotel, chill, get ready, and then we just went there to do the performance. Whereas some people had like dressing rooms at the arena, so they would be there all day. It was quite like it's like you wait around for a while and then you go. It was so. Yeah, and it was very, very cold. And we was all just like trying to keep warm the whole time. But that's showbiz, hey?
It's very showbiz. You sit around and wait. That's what you do.
Yeah, always. Just got to try and stay positive while being there.
It's true. I know. Just tell me where you're from. Introduce yourself to our listeners. Tell me all the exciting.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm 22 years old. I'm from Harlow, which is in Essex. And then I lived there till I was about 7 years old. And then I moved to somewhere called Suffolk, which is like near Cambridge sort of way. So then I grew up there from when I was 7 till I was 16. And then I moved back to London when I was 16, went to college at Urdang, did 3 years there, graduated in 2021. I went through college during COVID. So like half of my years were like taken up by online lessons, which was, I don't even know how we all did that, but yeah, it feels like a fever dream.
Was that kind of a letdown? Because you get to a prestigious college.
You have these really high expectations of like what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
But I don't like to look at like anything in life as a letdown, because I do think that no matter what path you're on, no matter where you are, it's happening for a reason. So I don't want to look back at it as a letdown as such, but it was an experience. Like I had an amazing first year. So I really felt like I had like the full London college experience in my first year. And obviously I was 16, 17. So like I was just loving my life. I wasn't one of those like kids that came and was like homesick. Like I literally was like, pack my bags, let's go. I can't wait to be in London by myself. I'm like quite independent, which is like, as I've gone older, has like, I would say settled a little bit. I'm definitely more of a home girl now, and I want to go home and see my mom and stuff. You don't realise how much you need them until you get a bit older and you realise that they're there for you always through whatever you go through.
So true.
So my first year was really amazing. And then my second year was like COVID riddled. And then third year, like we kind of came back, but it was still during COVID time. So it was still like masking rehearsals and like still had to isolate and things like that. But yeah, it was kind of just a blur. Like it just happened. And then I graduated and now I'm here still learning, still got a long way to go, you know.
Did you find that you were able to bond through COVID?
Yes, in a sense, definitely, with like the people that I'd already like connected with in first year, because obviously everyone was in their hometown. So London was our base, but like everyone was like from everywhere. So with the people that I was close with before, we definitely did bond, because it's like you realize, I feel like in COVID you just found out that like everything that you had that you maybe took for granted before like came to presence, and you was like, I realized how much I needed my friends. And so we would speak more and FaceTime and have like group FaceTime sessions and like do quiz nights and things, you know. But then again, at the same time, it was hard because certain people, you don't know what they're going through just through a screen, and they might be having a smile on their face and think that everything's okay, but actually it's not. So
I think some of the best heart-to-heart conversations I've had in my whole life were during FaceTime connections during COVID.
Yeah, because you feel that kind of sense of security, I guess, that you can be a little bit more vulnerable without feeling the like pressure of being actually in front of someone. So
yeah. I know we had like different groups of friends. We would have like FaceTime parties, and we would have the music on, and we have drinks, and we'd be having a great time, sometimes even dinner parties, but the conversation just flowed, and it was just so much fun. I
do agree.
But I think that if I were studying and I was looking forward to this whole experience, and then you're told, oh gosh, it's a pandemic, everything happens behind a computer screen, I don't know how I'd feel of that.
I kind of think as a human being, I kind of just take everything that comes at me and like make it work. Like that's kind of how I've grown up, is like whatever you've been given, you work with what you have and try and make the best of it as much as you can. So I didn't allow myself to get too caught up over the fact that these are my 3 years of training and they're getting taken away from me, or it's on Zoom, because otherwise I would have just not used it as an excuse, but I didn't want to look back on it, regardless of it being over Zoom, and think that I like took it for granted or didn't use it to like my best ability, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
So I tried to take the best that I could with what I had. In a way as well, I was kind of grateful because I had Zoom to see my classmates every day, and at the time as well, I was working night shifts in a supermarket to pay a deposit for a flat for when we went back to London. So I was really just like, it felt like a point in my life where I was like, no, I just need to work and work hard and allow it to pay off. So yeah.
That's amazing. What was your first gig after college?
My first gig after college was the EMA Awards, the MTV EMA Awards.
So nothing little.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I went straight into the deep end, and I really did. And I remember it was with AMCK, the agency, and I like just dreamed about signing with them and being with them from when I first came to college and found out about all the different agencies. So I remember I just went to it was like an open audition in like I think it was in East London. I was in a massive studio, just have your numbers on, as an audition goes, a heels routine. You learn the routine, you do it, you get recalled, you film it, and then you like go away and just wait to hear. And I just took it all as experience initially. I was like, wow, I'm here, this is so cool. There were so many people like in the room that I like really looked up to, and I was just there like being free. Like I wasn't putting any pressure on actually getting the job or like any expectations, like because I always think if I not lower my expectations, but if you expect too much of something and it doesn't happen, you feel disappointed.
What was that experience like when you got there?
I think I was in central London at the time. I was just like working in a restaurant, and I was like, I think I finished my shift and I got an email through saying that they wanted to offer me representation like through the agency. So I hadn't been confirmed on the job yet. It was just like, we would love to represent you. So like I was just like, wow, amazing. Like even if the job doesn't come from it, like this was like one of my dream things that I've had thought about for many years. So that happened, and then I got confirmed on the job, and it just felt surreal. One of my best friends was doing it as well, which was just amazing. So I got to experience it with her. Like we kind of grew up together. So I had her by my side, but it was a whirlwind. It was really amazing. It was in Budapest. I learned a lot on the job. I feel like when you get there, you learn more than if you was to just like train like at college. And I was very young. I was just being so open and free and just being me, like as I am. But I think that it was in a time when you're new to some place or like it's an environment, people are trying to get used to you. It was like an experience of like learning how to like conduct yourself in a room, like knowing what to say, what not to say, not to overshare too much. Like at the end of the day, we're here just to do a job. Like we're not here to like have, like obviously we want to have fun always, but we're not here to we're not at college anymore. Like this is where it starts to get serious. So I definitely learned a lot coming away from it and looking back. And
was it frightening the first time you hit that stage?
Yes, it was surreal. Like it was amazing. But one of the, like we danced with a guy called Maluma, and he had rain. Like we had like fake rain. So another checklist. It was amazing. But I remember I cut my knee like in the tech rehearsal, and like there was blood running down my leg, and I was new to like obviously this whole team and everyone, and I didn't want to like waste anyone's time. So, and we was getting rained on, and it was like a whole thing. And like it's the first time I stepped on the stage was the tech rehearsal. So that was when all that happened, and it felt really scary. But the agency that I was with was so supportive and just like took me to the side and was like, don't worry. Like this is your first time being on a stage like this. Just breathe, get through it. You're doing amazing. Don't worry about anything. I had an amazing time. Once we got to the performance, it was like a dream come true. It really was. But yeah, I think when I was that young, my panic set us in quite quickly, and I didn't know how to cope with it. Whereas now I think I could say I definitely do know how to cope with it now. But
do you ever get starstruck?
Yeah, I think I do. Like I get starstruck like when I watch shows. I think everyone probably has a different interpretation of what maybe starstruck means to them. But to me, it's just kind of like when you're in that state of, you're just so focused on something or someone, and you're just so engaged with what they're doing, nothing can distract you. Like I think that would be like what I would kind of describe starstruck as to me. And I guess I do feel like that when I watch a show and someone's really amazing, like the time just goes by really quickly and you're just really engaged. But yeah, I think I've been starstruck a lot through, like, dance is very expressionate. So like when I'm in my training environments, when you're watching someone truly express and they're letting their hair completely down and really going for it, like you're so just in awe and in connection with them that I think that I feel starstruck like quite a lot. And I think starstruck doesn't have to mean like this amazing thing that's like, whoa, I'm starstruck. Like it can be, you can be starstruck by someone to sit with in a coffee shop and have a conversation with them, and they're just be themselves and they've complimented you or they've asked you how your day was, and that's kind of a beautiful thing as well in life that you kind of forget about. It's not always glitz and glamour and showbiz and stuff. It's heart to heart human things too. So
I love that answer because that is so true. It just brings you back to like, you think of when you meet a stranger sometimes and you're like, oh my God, that was one of the nicest conversations I've ever had, or the nicest compliments.
So
I like that. I like that. So you come back
Yes.
to London from your first gig at the awards show, and does it feel like a letdown?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Join us each week on the Well Beyond Medicine podcast as we explore the 80% of child health impacts that occur outside the doctor's office. Listen and subscribe at nemourswellbeyond.org, where you'll hear pediatric experts, researchers, and policymakers from around the world discussing ways they are revolutionizing children's health. I'm your host, Carol Vassar. Let's go.
Let's go. Well beyond medicine.
It wasn't that it felt so much like a letdown, but it was almost like reality sets back in, and I really like, because it was the start of something, and when you have a dream you've wanted your whole life and it does feel like it's now at arm's reach, like you're kind of getting there. I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself to do everything perfectly, and that kind of put me in I would say, like a negative headspace with it, because it was like no human is able to do everything perfectly, and like I think if you try to overplan or overthink things too much, it almost stops you from being in the present moment, and you're just constantly like letting go of opportunities that might be coming your way. So I feel like everything happens for a reason, and you have to learn these things. So I don't look back and think that I was really upset and it was a letdown, but I just remember coming back to like my normal job as like a waitress, and it wasn't working long hours on your feet, and it was like, wow, I just did this amazing job and I had so much fun and I got paid for it, and now I'm back working here and not getting paid as much, and people are talking to you badly, and you just but it's all a part of life and growing up and life lessons. So it was definitely hard, but at the same time it was so amazing because it was the start of something new. So you had no inhibition. I had no inhibitions really. Like I was just like going with the flow.
And I guess you knew it
like
was
where
like
life was going to.
You knew it was like just the start of something great, so you were going to latch onto that.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no other than the like wanting to be perfect. There was nothing really that was going to get in my way. I was still really looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, it's kind of like a hangover when you finish. It's like, because I'll tour manage for some friends, and we'll go on tour, and you come home and you're like, now what?
Yeah.
Because you live this kind of like fantasy life. It's not real life. You come home to your real life and you're just like, when's the next tour?
Yeah. It's true. It's like a little glimpse, isn't it? Because they're always quite like the jobs that I have done before theatre they're always just short lived. So they're like short bursts of time. So you do live in a fantasy land for a while, and then you come back and it's like, okay, but you just have to find your own little rhythm with your life outside of dance and performing, that I found has really helped me. When you come back, you still feel like you're coming back to a life that you enjoy.
Yeah, like real life. Yeah, a meaningful life. What happened after that? So what was your next gig?
I was just training a lot, going to lots of open auditions and things like that. And I think that I just kind of allowed things to flow and happen for me. And I did get some amazing opportunities. I met some amazing people and did some amazing jobs. And all at the same time trying to balance life alongside of that. When I met Chris, you know very well.
Yeah, mutual
It was
friend.
like a real, it was a real pinnacle point for me where I was like, I feel like I've kind of established myself, and he was like really supportive of Dancers Inc. It felt secure, like I felt looked after, and I felt, not that I never did before, but it was just when I think it was when I kind of started to discover like who I was as well. So it kind of aligned at like the right time. That was that. I did some cool jobs with Dancers Inc. And then they have a split agency, so they have it INC Artists as well, which is who I was signed with also, which did a bit more theatre work. And I wasn't really wanting to necessarily go into theatre. I always knew I was going to at some point in my life, and I because I trained in it and I've sung all my life and I've always wanted to do it. And initially I actually thought that I was going to come out of college and go to theatre first, and then maybe in future would have done the cool like commercial jobs and eventually go on tour and stuff like that. But it happened the other way around for me. So I was kind of in my flow with the commercial work and didn't really expect to go into theatre. And I remember Melanie was texting me saying there was this audition, and I kind of was saying no because it didn't feel like it was aligning with me. And then she was like, that she sent me one for Greece, and it was a 6-month gig, so it wasn't a long, and it was at the Dominion in central London. And she was like, do you want to just go? And I kind of in a way was like, I didn't necessarily want the job to start with. I was just like, let me just go and see how I feel, see what happens, because something was telling me to go, the universe or whatever, like my energy was just like, actually I kind of want to go to this one. So I ended up going, and then I did a dance call, and then we did a dance recall, and then we did a singing round, and then we had another recall for material, and I got material for Rizzo. I ended up getting cover Rizzo and cover Frenchie, and it was really, really amazing. That was my first West End gig, and it was probably like one of the best summers of my life so far. It was a beautiful cast, beautiful team, and it was summer, and it was in central London, and I mean, what more could you ask for, really?
And that's the exciting bit. You just said it was the most exciting summer so far. It's just the beginning for you.
It is still, yeah. It's so true.
When did you realize that show business was what you were going to get into?
I have been dancing and singing since I was 3. And my mum always tells me this story, and I'm just going to say it because it's quite funny. Because I used to go and watch, when I was 2 years old, I used to go and watch the older dance girls because I wasn't allowed to join the classes until I was 3. So like my mum used to take me, I just used to watch through the window. And then the first dance class, once I was 3, when I went in, she said I went in and I stood up. They had like a little, like, I guess you would say, like, do you know in an audition room when there's like a table at the front with a panel?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. Like all the kids were in there, all the mums were in there. She said I just went up to the table, got on the table and just introduced myself to them, all stood off on the table. And I think from then, I knew, well, my family knew that this was going to be, it was destined for me. And I didn't stop dancing since. Like I never took that break. Like I think in your teen years where some people would kind of take a little bit of a break because they're too cool for it or whatever. Like I really didn't stop. I have not stopped since I was 3 years old. So, yeah.
I love that. And you just finished Evita.
Just finished Evita, yeah.
Yes.
That was in Leicester.
How was that?
Curve Theatre. That was Again, it was so much fun. I struggled a little bit in the city, Leicester. Obviously, I've lived in London since I was 16 now, so I'm used to that fast-paced lifestyle. So I think outside of the show, it was tough being in the city.
Your downtime.
But the show was, the downtime, because it was cold and it was tough. So, and it was a whole new experience for me. And obviously that was my second theatre job. And it was very different to Greece in the sense of it was like from scratch. So like the choreography and the direction, everything it was a brand new version. So the rehearsal process was like very different to Greece, because Greece was already set in stone. Everyone knew how the show ran, how it worked. It's been done before. Whereas Evita was like all the amazing ideas that you had not necessarily always worked out. So there's a lot of workshopping, going back, scratching things. So it was very different process for me, and it was nice to experience something new. There's a different type of show as well. It's a lot more serious, and Greece is very have fun with your friends and your school kids, whereas Evita there's a lot more political and serious. So it was nice to do something that was contrasting. Yeah.
Do you prefer being on the stage in a West End show, or do you prefer being on a musical tour?
I definitely couldn't say that I preferred one or the other just yet. I think I very much enjoy learning new things, and I constantly like to feel like I'm growing and evolving. Right now, after doing 2 back-to-back contracts, I'm looking forward to having a break from theatre, not for a while, I don't know when the next one, but for a bit, because I miss dancing, I miss expressing, I miss the freedom a little bit more. So everything has its pros and cons, and you always think the grass is greener on the other side. So, but I'm ultimately so grateful for the fact that I can live the best of both worlds, and I kind of want to continue to doing that, because I have so much care for both industries. So,
and it sounds like you're having so much fun with every experience that comes your way.
Yeah, I really am. It's all a journey and a lesson, and I think recently I've started to just discover to just go with the flow a little bit more, and listen to what I actually want. So I could have gone into another theatre show or started auditioning for another theatre show, but I was like, actually, it's not right for me right now. I wanna go back to dancing. I miss that feeling of training and being around all my friends that I've made before. And I'm moving house right now with one of my friends. So yeah, it's gonna feel like 2024 is gonna feel like a nice fresh start for me, and I just want to be happy and be grateful for everything that I have, and see where the universe takes me, really.
Has your circle of friends changed since you have found successful jobs?
No, actually. Obviously, naturally, it's so hard to stay in contact with everyone all the time, because we all have our own things going on. But if anything, my initial close circle of friends have always stayed the same, and they will always stay the same. And if anything, from now, I've just made new friends, which is beautiful. No, I think naturally, after you leave college, certain people that you are friends with, you lose contact with, but you still will see them and catch up and say hi, but it's not a everyday communication sort of thing. And I think that I'm quite lucky with the friendship group that I have, how supportive and how much we care and love for each other, which I'm very grateful for. But I can see how certain, I guess some people will feel like they lose friends if they start to succeed with what they're doing. If friends maybe feel like they can't quite get there, or they wanted to do that but they can't, I can understand that. But I think ultimately, if people are meant to be in your life, they will be there for you regardless. So if you feel like you've lost a friend, or you're upset that you feel like they've distanced themselves, it's because they're not aligning with you right now. And it's nothing to do with you. It's just you're not compatible so much anymore.
That's true. What do you think of the phrase, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with? Do you agree with that?
I love that phrase. I completely agree. And I always say, and like me and my friends always say, like, my friends are like a testament to like who I am. So I like to surround myself with like-minded people, because if they meet someone and they say, oh, I'm Darcey's friend, it's nice that they will then be able to trust that person, because they will know that do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that is definitely something. Your friends are definitely a reflection of, or I believe for me, my friends are a reflection of who I am. Yeah, I completely agree.
There's a word for that as well, the 5 friends, and I can't remember what it's called, what a group of 5 means. I do know it because I am a part of a group of 5, and I brought it up in that conversation, and it's so true. I love that saying.
Yeah,
I love it.
I really do.
Do you have a pre-show ritual?
For theatre, I think it kind of depends on the like I've obviously only done 2, so from what I've experienced, I had different pre-show rituals with different people on each job. So like, for example, like me and my friend Liv, we had like a handshake that we did like every time before show, and then she actually joined me on a Vita, and we like carried it through before every show. And yeah, so there's like little fun quirky things like that people have. For me personally, like I didn't like to get ready. Some people like to get ready like really early and be ready to go like at the half an hour call, but I didn't like to be last minute. I was always on time, but I like to just get there, get ready, and then go on stage. I didn't like to sit and procrastinate. So
Sure.
I guess that was kind of like a pre-show ritual for me. It was kind of ready at last and just going with my, like, leaving everything from the day behind, and like get ready for the show, doing the show, and then yeah, that was it.
We're slowly going into the quick fire questions.
Okay, ready. Hit me.
How do you wind down after a show? So especially the West End show. So you wait all day for the show, basically. You do this massive show, you have a standing ovation, it's high energy, you get on the train and go home.
Yeah, that is a humbling experience in itself, I must say. It took me a while to kind of adjust to the kind of theatre schedule. I'm naturally quite an early riser, so I would wake up quite early, and I naturally wake up quite early. So I would get home from the show and you're hungry because you've just done a show. So you end up eating at like 11 o'clock at night, which is not the norm for me anyway. I quite like to eat dinner quite early and get a night's rest, wake up early and all that. So then you get home, you have some food, and then you kind of stay awake for a few hours. You kind of have to like shift your day, because you can't go straight to sleep, because it upsets your stomach if you go straight to sleep after you've eaten. So I used to, every day kind of varied as well. But like once I got into it, I definitely like to have a shower before I go to sleep, just so that you wash the day away. I recently as well started journaling before I go to bed. And that was more of an Evita thing that I started for me. I didn't so much do that in Greece, but just journaling before you go to bed, putting your phone down. And also we're all like human, and it's like habit. So like I would some nights get home and go on my phone and scroll through TikTok. Like it's part of the norm now. It's like, don't beat yourself up too much about it. I try not to anyway, because you can't be like stick to your routine all the time. But I think that definitely a shower was a must for me, a nice dinner, a cup of tea, and yeah, whatever you felt like doing in the evening, just allowing your body to just kind of do what you needed. Some nights I would go home and not feel hungry and feel so tired that I just had to go straight to sleep. So I would, like kind of just listen to your body and what it needs.
Sure. What is your dream role?
My dream role. That's so hard. I always, I mean, Rizzo was a dream role for me. I didn't realize it was a dream role until I was there and was in the audition room and started reading for it and stuff. So I don't have like a specific dream role. I would really like to play Nancy and Oliver. I think that would be so fun. It's just kind of like where I'm from, like the Cockney, like sort of accent. Like I feel like I could really tap into that. And my family are like, they kind of speak the same way. So that would be something that I would love to do at some point in my career. But ultimately, I'm kind of open to like letting things happen. See what comes up for me.
That's exciting. Most embarrassing mishap you've had on stage?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so when I went on, I think it was my Rizzo debut. And when I went on for my debut, I found out at like 3:00, I think, that I was going on at 7 p.m. So, and I did have some dates scheduled in for like the week after. And this was quite like few months into the run as well. I think it was around the 17th of August, and we opened in about like midway through June. So I had a quick turnaround and it was a whirlwind. I just went straight to my dressing room, looked through all my notes, looked through all my spacing, made sure I knew what I was doing. But there's a moment where there's like a Grease Lightning reprise with Kaniki, and she's kind of like going at like taking the mick out of the car, basically pretending that she doesn't want to be in it when really she does. But at the end, you have to climb up onto the car from the ground, and I had a little pair of heels on, and the song ends with me Rizzo standing on the car, pushing Kaniki into the car. But I stood up on the car, I stood up on it, kind of ended with me like stood at the bottom of the car, whereas normally I'm stood on top of the car. And then I just had to climb on and like just keep moving forward. And everyone afterwards was so kind and like reassured me that like, you know, it is actually okay, like things happen and it's fine. People probably wouldn't have even realized unless they knew you and knew the show. So yeah, that was probably like the biggest mishap so far that's happened for me. And now it's funny to look back on.
It is. The last song you downloaded?
I think recently I re-downloaded Frank Ocean's album onto my Apple Music. So that was probably the last, like one of the songs that I downloaded was a Frank Ocean song. Nice. I'm not sure which one, but it was from the whole album.
Social media, how important does that play a role in your career, if it does at all?
I think that in this day and age, I think it definitely plays more of an impact than it used to. But I also think it's important not to rely too much on it, because at the end of the day, social media it's a part of who you are. And sometimes people want to look at it and they just want to see the mundane things that you're up to. Like if you're going out for a coffee or you're going to do a workout class and things. I think that if you keep it too professional, you kind of just become the same as everyone else. So it does definitely play a part. I think you got to keep it professional, know that people are going to be coming to have a look at like what's on there. So make sure what people, choreographers or producers, directors, anyone would need to see is easily accessible to them. So like a dance video, a singing video, a portfolio picture is accessible, but then everything else, I think, be who you want to be, kind of. And if someone wants to work with you, they will, regardless of how professional your Instagram looks and
of course
stuff. Yeah.
Favorite venue you've ever performed in?
I think that it would be the Dominion for Greece, West End, for
Nice.
sure.
Favorite performance of your career to date?
I feel like I'm on a Grease roll and I don't want to keep saying the same thing, but I do think that my Rizzo debut was probably one of my favorite things, because it's something that I never thought that I always thought I was going to do theatre, but I didn't think that I would be able to, like, I didn't know if it was going to be possible for me to play a lead role. So for me to sing and for my family to be able to see me sing, because with the stuff like the commercial stuff, it's quite hard for your family to be able to watch. So the fact that my family were there and I made them really proud, like that, yeah, that was really important to me.
That's lovely. The best advice you've ever been given?
I would say just that it was just to stay true to yourself. Someone said that to me, and has a lot of experience and she's very amazing. And she was just like, don't worry about what other people are doing. Just stay in your own lane and figure it out for yourself, because ultimately, regardless of everything else in your career and everything, you are the only person that is in control and truly knows how you feel and truly knows, like, you will never know how other people feel. It's kind of out of your hands. So don't focus too much on that. Focus on yourself, and what's meant to be will be.
So true. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at keeping secrets?
Oh, I can't say that I'm very good. Let's be real here. Like I'm very good at keeping secrets. If someone's told something not secret, my best friends are gonna know, because my like you said, like your close circle, like I trust them with my life, and like I know that I can tell them anything and say them and they wouldn't repeat it. So yeah, I would say I'm like a 6, 7 out of 10, because the extra 3 are me telling my friends.
Do you have any pets?
No, I don't. And I never had pets like close to my family. My nan had a dog growing up. But that was kind of it. Don't have any pets. I love animals, love all animals, but I just don't have them.
If you had to wear one color for the rest of your life, what color would it be?
I think it would have to be black. Because if I ever doubt what I need to wear, what I want to wear, it's always a black outfit can never go wrong. You can never go wrong.
Totally agree. Heels, flats, or sneakers?
Ooh, I think if I was to choose one, I would choose sneakers. But recently I've been into a kitten heel. So like a really tiny heel, because you can wear them all night and they don't hurt your feet and they look classy.
Amazing. Define yourself in 3 words.
This is coming from a pure heart. I would describe myself as loving. I would describe myself as honest and warm, very warm and cozy.
Love that. Current TV character obsession?
I do use Netflix, and I think Friends, in light of what's happened recently with the guy that played Chandler, Matthew. I love Monica. I love her. So let's go with Monica from Friends.
Love it. What's one thing you wish you had known at 18?
At 18, I wish I would have known that everything is always going to be fine, no matter how you feel in that moment. There's a quote that says, and my auntie always says to me, it's "this too shall pass." So no matter where you are, no matter how you feel, it's always going to pass. It will always shift. You're never going to stick in that feeling for forever. So yeah.
Love that. Do you play any musical instruments?
No, I don't. I say that my voice is a musical instrument.
It is.
So that is technically my musical instrument, but no, I don't.
What's the worst date you've ever been on?
Oh. I think the worst date I've ever been on, it started off really well. We went to a wine tasting bar, and you'd think that sounds like a great date. And it was great because you got to try so many different types of wine, which is great. I love wine. But you get so drunk and you don't realize how drunk you're getting, because you're constantly sipping wine and they're bringing extra to pour over. So, and then I think that I kind of got so drunk that I wasn't really engaging with the guy that I was on a date with. And that was probably the worst date that I've been on.
What is the most used emoji in your phone?
Oh, let's have a look. It is the laughing face.
Great. Love that. Something you've learned about yourself in the last 3 months?
I think in the last 3 months, I've learned how to slow down and actually how to slow down rather than thinking that I'm slowing down, but I'm actually not. Like just allowing myself to like listen to what I actually need in that moment and rolling with it rather than forcing something else, because I think that's what is the best thing to do.
Who do you look up to the most in your life?
I look up to my grandparents a lot, all of them, because they are just, I feel like they're like part of you and part of who you are. You always come back to them and feel at home. So
true. Do you have a nickname?
I do. People tend to call me, so my full name's Darcey, and people tend to call me Darce. And I really like my family growing up always call me Darce. So like when I meet new people, it's really nice for them to like slowly start calling me Darce.
I like that. What advice would you give someone starting out as a performer?
I would say if you love it enough, just keep going. If it's genuinely something that you really truly want, like you can get there. Just stay honest, stay true to yourself, and just take it day by day. Don't think too far into the future. Focus on the present moment.
Do you think you've had your I've made it moment yet?
I think I've been close, but I don't think I have had my I've made it moment. But I think that's only because of like my age, and I think that there's so much more to learn and to come. I'll feel like I've made it when I've feel like I've taken from all the experiences that I possibly can and look back and think I did that.
What can people expect from you next? What does 2024 have in store for Darcey?
My New Year's resolution this year was to take the focus away from the industries as such, because I think that when you put too much pressure on something, it kind of does the opposite. My New Year's resolutions was to spend much more time with my friends, much more time with my family, do all the little mundane things, the simple things in life that really, really make me happy and make me part of who I am. And I want to work really hard. I'm not too focused on the outcome right now. I just want to look back when I get to the end of this year, so December 2024, I want to look back and think I really grinded this year.
Good. It's been lovely to talk to you, Darcey.
Thank you. It's been so wonderful. I've had a great time.
It's been great. And I can't wait to see what's in store down the road for you. And I'll be keeping a lookout and sharing all your things on social media.
Amazing. Thank you so much.